going to be a bumpy night.
1, 2, 3. What's going on, guys? This is the Laugh Bunker podcast. Thank you guys all for joining us. It is April 1st.
Yep. April Fool's Day,
man. Yeah, April Fool's Day.
Yes. This is a podcast, so that's the ultimate April Fool joke for the listeners.
Yeah. You guys are listening to this right
Maybe.
now. Joke's on you for listening to us right now. So, but
yes, thank you.
It's been how's
I have
everything,
therapy
man?
for that now.
I know, right?
No, good.
Everything's been
What's
good.
up? Yes.
All right, cool, good.
Doing. Yeah. I mean, work is what it is, but I've made a good plan there, and yeah, it's Easter week.
Yeah.
So,
any plans
tomorrow,
for Easter? Anything like that?
Always plans. Though the last 2 years have been kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because of the church being closed, and even tomorrow, like for Good Friday, it's outside. I don't have folding chairs. I'm a little stressed out, so I don't know if I'll really go. But then I think Sunday morning we'll go to sunrise service. I like to go to the sunrise service at 6:30.
Okay.
And then we'll go out for breakfast, my wife and I, for Easter. Nice. And then I work Easter night, so whatever. I think we'll do something in the afternoon, maybe go somewhere and then just hang out. But yeah, I mean, growing up, obviously Catholic. I mean, the Holy Week was massive, especially in Detroit back in the 60s. I mean, it was, on Good Friday, everything closed in my neighborhood from 12 to 3.
Not around here.
I mean, everything. It was, no, not here, but just in Detroit now.
Detroit, yeah.
And I grew up in a subdivision. I grew up in a subdivision that was all Irish and Italian and German and Czech, but mostly second generation immigrant families.
Yeah.
And at the end of our street was St. Dorothy's, which was the church. And around St. Dorothy's was all the baseball fields.
Okay.
There was a football field and that's in big open areas to play. So it was like a centerpiece of growing up. And when we went to church, it was everybody in the neighborhood. So it was kind of an interesting situation. I guess that sounds very cultish now. But it was really interesting that the head priest was Father McGee.
Okay.
And he was from Ireland. And I believe with the punch he had that he must have been a middleweight champ. That's one before going into the ministry. But it was
Father McGee is a very Irish Catholic priest.
He wasn't from, I don't remember. I remember one time he came over for dinner because, you always have to have the priest over for the dinner and whatever. Yeah. Probably much just like a lot of the Jewish faith has the rabbi over. You want, the closer to God, you want him in.
They came over. You invited him over to your house? And
He came over and he started doing something like really weird with this toothpick, like digging. So me and my sister started laughing, and my mom kicked me so hard into the table. I still have a dent. I actually still have a dent in the bone. And then she said, "Paul, can you help me in the laundry room?" And she was beating me. I mean, not,
Did he notice or?
No, but it's just like, but at one time, first time I ever had alcohol was when I was an altar boy. And so and I don't remember.
I never did that. I never did the whole altar boy thing.
Well, I was asked not to come back, but there's not enough communion to save this kid, man. So you got to go. So no, this friend of mine, we found it and we were drinking it in the back.
Yeah.
But when we went, I mean, this is, I don't know, 10 years old. I don't know. And then we forgot to fill the canister. And so that's when he's on the altar and he didn't have the stuff. And then my friend's not in the right mind. He's not ringing the bell on time. So Jesus isn't coming. So it messes up everything. Because you got to get the bell to get Jesus to come down for the transfiguration. So anyway, that being said, so yes, we, confession, confirmation, the Holy Week, Thursday night service, always, Friday. And you couldn't play outside, even though we weren't at school. No one played outside. And if you weren't at the mass, no one was playing from 12 to 3 in your yards. It was like like apocalyptic. And
Yeah, yeah.
then Saturday, I think Saturday we always visited grandma's and my grandma
Okay.
on my dad's side. And then Sunday morning, we would get up and we would get baskets. I'm not kidding you, man. Baskets like so much. I don't even know. I mean, it's no wonder why I'm a diabetic, but I mean, the amount of chocolate that would be there.
Uh-huh.
And then we would go to church, and then we would go to my mom's parents, the Irish side,
Okay.
and they would have the big ham, home baked ham and everything. And I like the holiday not only because of the religious significance,
Yeah.
it's just no stress.
It's true. It is true.
And
It's one of those pleasant
as you
holidays.
know,
Yeah.
it
Very
is. And when you
easygoing.
go to
Very easygoing.
church, you see people who don't go to church except for that one day that you at least you know they're still alive.
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing. Hey man, I was worried about you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, growing up, Easter was, not a huge thing. We went to church, and I grew up in a Catholic home. My mom's very Catholic and very, still is, and my dad is more Christian, I guess now, but they're both very
what
religious
does that
people.
mean? Okay, so
Well,
what do you mean by that?
he went away
You
from
don't think that the Catholics are Christians?
well, no, he's not a part of the Catholic Church so
Oh,
much
so
anymore.
he's Protestant.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there you
Okay.
go. And then we went to schools that were um Baptist. They were Christian Baptist, Lutheran. Yeah, no, Christian Baptist.
Hmm.
And then the only Catholic, I went to a Catholic high school, and I did my communion. I did my confirmation while I was in high school, and it was yeah, religion was always a big part of growing up. As an adult, it just kind of is straight away. And now that I have my own son, though, I'm gonna probably start to go back and bring structure into our lives and also his. I don't want to deprive of that, really. So and yeah, and in terms of Easter, I mean, it was always just a fun gathering of just friends and food, and
What
all
would the food be? Was it a
the
traditional Easter meal or did it change every year? We
well,
always had ham on our side, and there were other
yeah,
elements, but it was always ham. It was honey baked ham from the big from where you
yeah.
buy them, and
It
we'd
wasn't
eat that for a month.
that type of that type of food. It wasn't anything like a traditional Mexican type of food or anything like that. It was more American honey baked ham and stuff like that. So um
There's I was talking the lady I was telling you about, who's the valet,
yeah,
who just knows everything about film and whatever, but she
yeah,
was raised in Mexico, and
okay,
she told me how she was explaining to me last night there are a lot of processions and a lot of
oh, okay,
outdoor activities, and she was
uh-huh,
showing me some pictures, and they were just magical with the colors and the
yeah,
reverence. I did the whole, I mean, I grew up Catholic,
mm-hmm.
but then I switched over. I jumped the fence and went Protestant for a while,
Yeah.
touchdown Jesus with the big band sound. And, I remember reading something one time, and I find that I've met some of the most phenomenal people
Uh-huh.
in both. And it's interesting. I've kind of drifted back to the Catholic Church,
Yeah,
not because a lot of it is laziness, it's around the corner, but because it's a mission, there's this nostalgic of this Spain and just I don't
yeah,
know. What it is? When I walk into the Catholic Church, I feel comfortable no matter how I have been. In other
exactly.
words,
Yeah,
I walk in and I can sit in the back pew and I'm in the presence of God, and I like that.
yeah,
Sometimes with the other churches I've gone to, you have the name tag, it's how you doing, whatever, and it's hard for me to be bullshitting in the pew and then clap, here comes the music, and I'm supposed to get it. I
yeah,
don't know. I like certain religions have an incredible reverence that I respect on the ultimate level.
yeah. And with the
I would
Catholic
say,
religion, yeah, for sure.
yes, I like
It's
that.
like tradition. It's like a old.
It's discipline, and
It's
and for
disciplined.
who
Mhm.
for a person who is chaotic
Yeah,
as I am, in areas of my life or in
Yeah.
parts of my journey, I like that.
Yeah.
And when I walk in there, I like the quietness and the big ceiling, and I like to be able to just contemplate why I am there.
Yeah.
But on the Protestant side, some of the best preachers and sermons I've ever heard were probably come from that side, just because of there might be more of an academic background.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
not that the priests aren't smart, but it's just the homily's different. And so there were parts of that, especially going to an Assembly of God college, which is, huge Pentecostal.
Like
I like that.
a Protestant sermon might be a little bit more of a improvisational, whereas the priest only gets maybe a certain moment of like being able to he gets
Well,
a
yeah,
certain
he's on a limited
he's on a
basis,
limited
and he's
timetable
dealing.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
because it's structured. And that's why another thing too, going to the Catholic Church, you get the work flexibility.
Yeah.
You're up, you're down, you
Oh
got the
yeah.
thing, and one thing I noticed, so when I went back, people don't shake hands even before the pandemic. They shoot the piece.
Oh
Like they
really?
raise their hand and it's almost kind
Usually you
of
shake the person
not
next to you at
Star
least.
Trek stuff. Well, yeah, but I'm noticing you can get a farther reach and you can get more people.
Yeah, you get to go
So
like a
if one
hey.
swing, you got half all the pews. And
Yeah.
so I like that part. But the
Yeah.
truth is, this this mission over here,
Hmm.
they have a lot of academics from all over the world, and some of the most dynamic priests I've ever met were right here.
Hmm.
And one guy was from the south side of Chicago, and he worked with he would be like Robert De Niro. Okay.
Okay.
Robert De Niro, he remember that movie where he was the priest?
Yeah.
And Kevin Bacon's in the movie. It was Sean Penn in the movie too. It was about atrocities. No, Kevin Bacon did the atrocities.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it. I know which one you're
Is
talking about.
Brad Pitt in that too?
I don't know if he's in it, but I remember De Niro
It's three
played a
or four
priest.
younger
Yeah.
guys, but he plays the priest.
Yeah.
If I was a priest, kind of like that. I mean? Like, do you remember the movie The Mission?
No.
It was with Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons. It was about, this is a spectacular movie. And since
Okay.
we'll talk about some Bible movies because of the Easter week,
Yeah.
it dealt with a mission in South America
Okay.
and how it was going to be taken over or whatever. And so you had two sides, but Jeremy Irons played one type of Christian,
Okay.
and Robert De Niro played one of love, but of like massive just vengefulness and protecting and violence. And it was just like two different men.
Yeah.
And the way that they worked out God, and Robert De Niro had killed his brother who was having an affair with his wife, and Robert De Niro had been a mercenary type of soldier.
Okay.
And so Jeremy Irons takes him out of jail and takes him up to the mission and kind of cultivates his faith and teaches him. And but in the final split, you see two different types of people of faith, and it's just not only that, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the Jeremy Irons, one of the great actors. I mean,
Yeah,
that
great.
guy is just a bomb. And what can you say about De Niro? When De Niro was young and taking chances, he was the bomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
he was.
I mean, look at these guys that take these roles, and they just lived it. And I would put that as now. I mean, obviously, The Godfather #1, but I was going to go with The Mission as my #2 Robert De Niro movie. And I know we're kind of off subject
Okay.
here,
No. Yeah.
but it is really
Yeah. I
it's
gotta check that
powerful.
one out. Yeah.
And I highly recommend it to everybody. And the there's just so many great people in it. And when you're dealing with the the indigenous people and the culture and with Christianity and how it was, it's just a spectacular. And there's a lot of sadness because unfortunately it's sad.
It's sad.
But
Yeah. It's a sad story.
it's a movie that you walk away from.
And now,
And and my wife and I saw it the night we got engaged, believe it or
oh, that's
not,
cool. Wow.
at McCormick Place, which McCormick Place was in Chicago, was
Yeah.
down up the street from Navy Pier. And it was one of the old school, just all the great movies we saw there, like The
Yeah.
Sixth Sense. It had the state of the art sound,
Now,
and it
now,
just was killer.
well, we're talking about Bible movies and biblical movies. Go down some of your favorites. Top of your list.
Well,
There.
okay, so like I said, growing up in Detroit,
Yeah.
in the 60s, Channel 7, which was the ABC, on Holy Week, you came home from school, it was a Bible movie.
Yeah.
And it was, a lot of these were from, the 60s or 50s and whatever. And they weren't showing the 10 Commandments or Ben-Hur. They were keeping that for Saturday night or Easter night or whatever. But my favorite, and it's not the greatest movie maybe, and I need to go back and watch it, but when I was a kid, I wanted to be Barabbas.
Barabbas.
Okay, now Barabbas was the one who was chosen over Christ and Pontius Pilate in the biblical stories.
Okay.
That's who the people wanted. And then no one really knows. This is from the Gospel of Mark. But Anthony, this Barabbas goes to be a gladiator. And I thought, when I grew up, man, we all wanted to be gladiators, because I know that sounds stupid, but everybody, well, I mean, can you imagine if your job is gladiator? Is anybody screwing with you on your street?
Well,
you know what I mean? No one's ringing your doorbell or waxing your windows or parking in front of your house. It's just, and then it just has this thing, but it does have this drawbacks. You might not come home.
That's a movie that's on my list of viewing this week. Is Gladiator. But go.
I love that movie too. So another one of mine that I really love is The Robe, with Richard Burton, Gene Simmons, and Victor Mature.
Okay.
And it's about a guy who
kissed Gene Simmons, or is it?
No, Gene Simmons, a beautiful actress. She was in a lot of Bible movies. This is from '53. Richard Burton, of course, the great actor, Elizabeth Taylor's husband a million times, whatever.
Yeah.
But the story is Richard Burton is his group of maniacs or whatever is the squad that crucifies Jesus. And it's just the interaction afterwards of faith. And it's just a very fascinating movie. And Richard Burton, I always liked. He was just like, he was bigger than life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He brought the maniac of stage onto screen.
Okay.
You feel like he could hurt you. And he wasn't even a big guy, but he just cared, like Gene Hackman. He had that massive just power. And then, of course, you got to go with the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston.
Of course. That's on my list. Yeah.
Ben-Hur with Charlton Heston too. How about, Ben-Hur in '59 was 3 years later. Before I think Titanic or Aviator, it had the most
Avatar
Oscar nominations.
Okay.
Ben-Hur won 11 Oscars.
And was it Kirk Douglas?
No, Charlton Heston. Kirk Douglas was in Spartacus.
There you go.
Which the truth is, you know what? You're right. That would be okay. When you talk about Bible movies, I know a lot of mine. I mean, I do have The Passion of Christ with Jim Caviezel and
Mel Gibson directed
the Mel Gibson movie. But you're the one you just said. Because remember Spartacus. Gene Simmons is in Spartacus, so she's in two big movies.
Wow. Okay.
Because Spartacus is really about, Spartacus was about the slave rebellion in Rome.
Yeah.
But Spartacus was the largest crucifixion in the history of the world. From wherever the revulsion, the final battle was, all the way back to Rome, they crucified the slaves
that revolted.
Yes. Do you know where the second largest crucifixion of all time was?
Where?
Japan.
Really?
before everything closed down, there was a massive push of Christianity in the samurai, because there were a lot of missionaries there from Spain and Portugal and different areas, and there was a lot of trade. In fact, the church was using trade routes to open up, but they were having a problem with samurais, soldiers, or independents not worshiping the emperor, but Jesus. And there was kind of a big faith, and then that was one of the reasons Japan was closed for a couple hundred years.
And who crucified? Who was crucified, or who did the crucifying?
I cannot give you specifics on that because I don't know for sure. I just know that it was probably the royal army. Because remember, samurai weren't always they were under the lords, not necessarily, kind of like England. So I would imagine, and like I'm saying, I'm only imagining and speculating, but I would imagine it would have to be the royal guards or the royal army doing that, because if you're not going to be giving homage to or willing to die for the emperor as necessary, as he was a god till after World War II.
Do you like that? Do you like watching that movie, Last Samurai, with Tom Cruise?
With Tom,
I think we've talked about it before. Yeah.
There's something about it that doesn't work for me.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily Tom Cruise. It's his friend, who's the soldier, the white guy. I can't.
Yeah, the one he's kind of like becomes his enemy in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, the storyline doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I love the Japanese culture.
Yeah.
I mean, having studied.
That's why I like it in that movie. They show it because he spends all his time in there.
You know, when I studied Aikido at the Japanese Cultural Center and just went every day or two times a day for almost a year, and sitting with the breakfast and the discipline, there's something. I love the mindset, and I love how they teach. They teach. They do have specialty classes for some of the upper belts, but most of the classes, everybody's in the same class.
Yeah.
And you seat from here to superior, and when you're in that area of somebody better than you, like I always tell you, my dream would be to go to Harvard, because I want to get the lowest scores ever. Like, that guy must be rich. How could he be here?
Just like in the movie where he's walking through the quad and he's walking through all these buildings. Yeah, hell yeah, that place looks awesome.
So anyway, I like the idea of that, and I so the last one probably would be the Passion of Christ.
Okay.
And not that it's the last one. It's really interesting because at that time I was heavily involved in ministry in Chicago, and
it's probably one of the last big blockbuster, like full on religious movies, right? I mean, I know they've had a couple like Noah with like Russell Crowe and all that, but no one really cared about that one. So it's like
that, well, and it's interesting because having been in ministry, and especially at that time, I was working for music festival, Christian music festival. So therefore, we were getting all this buzz. Now, Mel Gibson brought a cut of it to church in Willow Creek. Now, Willow Creek's one of the big, massive super churches like you would find in Southern California here, especially in Orange County.
Yeah.
Some of those big churches, the rock and roll churches. So even some of those churches like Switchfoot came out of, POD came out of the big church in San Diego. But
which those churches like we were talking about are not as structured like a Catholic church is.
No.
And they have their appeal, but I agree with you, like going to those type of churches because I've been around them. There's just that going back to the Catholic Church thing is that familiarity and that structure that you just appreciate, and that tradition that you appreciate. And I like how some of these New Age churches and the Protestant churches and all that, they're very loose and they're very welcoming, they're very friendly, and they're very like, they have this vibe. But something about the traditional stuff, I don't know.
No, I listen, I'm on board.
Yeah.
The pastor of this Willow Creek outside in Illinois, there outside of Chicago. I mean, this guy, the this guy rocked.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was one of these people that just communicated the word of God in a way that worked.
Yeah.
But Mel Gibson went here and brought a cut of this film with a
Nice.
question and answer.
Yeah.
So when the studios weren't going to promote his movie, because Hollywood isn't a big Christianity lover,
They're not. Yeah.
and of course, so him being said, he put up his own money, so he built a following. I went
Yeah.
and saw it the opening day.
Now, is
So
he
my
Catholic
past,
or who?
yeah, he's a very traditional Catholic, and I'm not educated here, but he believes in, I don't know if it's Vatican I or he believes in still the traditional Latin. And I
Okay.
believe he had built a Catholic church that was on his
On his
property in
property
Santa
too.
Monica
Yeah, I
that
think
was
so.
that people went to. A lot of people are down on Mel Gibson because he says bad things. And the truth is he
When
needs
he's
to be
drunk.
held. Well, okay. But let me tell you what.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with a major celebrity, this
Yeah.
person. And we had this conversation because it was about during the time of his blow up and him being an idiot.
Yeah.
Probably should stop drinking. I would say, Mel, other than maybe asking forgiveness, you should probably stop drinking.
Well,
because of his tirades, whatever.
it's also who he went after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, okay.
And when you're in Hollywood, you can't.
No. So we had this. No, I understand.
Yeah.
So, the movie he built it up through the church is what he did. And I saw it on the opening day, or my friend was at this showing, who ran the festival, was my best man at my wedding. Nice. And he had been in the early rock scene, Christian rock scene with all the famous people in the 70s. Yeah. So he came back and was there for the question and answer. So of course the buzz was there. I went and saw it. I saw it twice on the first day, once by myself, and then my wife Cynthia, she joined me secondly.
I saw it with my dad. Me and my brothers went to go see it with my dad. Yeah.
It's a harsh, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, because they you know what I really liked about it though? I liked the flashback scenes, and I wish there was more of it.
I love that
interesting.
The family part of it, to me, was interesting because it brought a humanity.
Exactly.
I mean, Jesus had brothers and sisters. I mean, can you imagine growing up and Jesus is like your older brother?
Yeah.
That would suck.
That would suck.
He doesn't even have to clean his room. He just can snap his fingers. It's done. And and he's nice, so he's not even being a jerk about it. It's just horrible.
There's one scene, I think he's in like somewhere on the property that he lives in, and it's like he's like, I think he might be doing some carpentry, and I forgot who's talking.
It's a table. It's a scene with the table.
And he's just laughing, and he's like, they're just talking, and it's like, that's not depicted a lot. You know what I mean? It's usually like, So I really like.
Because you're talking about an iconic. I mean, is there a more iconic figure to portray on film?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm going to talk about Joaquin Phoenix, and he did Jesus with Mary Magdalene with and it's the girl. It's one of the Rooney. Yeah, it was on Showtime last year. It's one of the Rooney sisters, I believe.
Yeah, I think the one he's married to. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I'm gonna tell you what. It was spectacular.
Was it? That's good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. Those two together.
Those two
you
together.
Can't stop watching them. It's just, but to play an iconic figure, and I would have to say of all the iconic figures I've seen in movies, a lot of them fail. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because if I'm going to see this movie, I'm well read, or if it takes the magic out of it. I've always said that girl or that lady, not girl, Ava, I can't pronounce DuVernay. How do you say her last name? DuVernay. Her movies. Well, her movie Selma. Let me tell you what. I might not be a big fan of all her work, but she took. Okay, so you have Jesus, and then you have two down. You got Martin Luther King is iconic. I mean, so how do you nail this? And it's interesting because the Passion of Christ, you brought up the humanity scenes.
Yeah.
Those were the scenes in that movie
with
that
Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah.
no, with Joaquin Phoenix, but also Martin Luther King and Selma to take
Oh, okay.
his wife's telling him how to do the dishes. And there's
Okay. Yeah.
something about reality that brought the character down to me. And I think that girl did probably the most incredible thing I've ever seen about
Yeah.
Martin Luther King. And then I thought Jim Caviezel in that movie was great. But now that you say that, the Joaquin Phoenix, there was something powerful. But see, what we see more of the crucifixion with Jesus and the harsh in the passion than we do actually see this massive. I mean, listen, if he wasn't cool, people ain't following him. And whether
That's
people
true.
believe he was the son of God or whatever, there's facts that this dude rolled through the
Yeah.
Middle East and people were healed and
People
people's
followed him.
lives were changed. And so these are facts that are indispensable even through the Talmud and major Jewish historians.
Yeah.
So it is a powerful thing. And Joaquin Phoenix does something in this movie. And I'm surprised that is on my list now because I forgot about it. I highly recommend it for you.
What's the premise of it though? What is it? Because the Passion is for the most part the crucifixion.
This is more about how he's starting his ministry.
Oh, okay.
It's more ministry based
Okay.
and relationship based, and how she leaves her family for this.
Yeah.
And it's not Mary Magdalene, it's Mary, and it's just so powerful. And I really, I always I could be mixing with the story, but his portrayal of a humble Christ. But I mean, in other words, it must have been hard to be the Jewish church system and competing against Jesus.
Yeah.
So I should have put that down on my list of number 6 because the truth is, you're right. I love there's a compassion. We when we think of love, we always think it's physical or, that's how our society pushes it. But there's something about the platonic love he had for his disciples. I mean, people gave up. And plus for, Jesus to have to deal with these guys were failing him every day.
I know.
They had no IQ, they had low IQs. And yet there's something very positive about it.
Yeah.
So, but
I got to check that movie out though. I remember when they were promoting it. I remember when they talked about it being in production, and I don't think I ever followed up on it, but I got to check it out.
I watched it. My wife watched it a few times. I probably saw it was one of my go-tos for a while.
Okay, that's cool.
The truth is,
yeah.
And it was just really very positive, and I really liked it. And
Awesome.
But Passion of the Christ was, it made 612 million.
Yeah.
Worldwide, and I think it was the highest rated R movie for a long, long time.
It was.
And it's really interesting because I remember seeing the interview with Mel Gibson on ABC. I don't know, it was Diane Sawyer or whoever it was.
Yeah.
But he was mad. And when I was working with this person, who knew Mel, I had a conversation with him, and this person's pretty iconic. And the first thing this person said, he goes, "Well, I don't usually take much reference to what people say when they're drunk out of their head," and which you had said. But then I said to this person, I said, "That's really interesting." And I said one of his movies that he had Oscar nomination for. I said, "Yeah, that movie that was a piece of shit, man. I don't know how you fooled everybody. And you should have seen the look on his face." And I said, "Okay, now you see that look on your face?"
Yeah.
That's what all of Hollywood did to Mel Gibson about his movie that was the passion of his life.
Yeah.
And then it's just not an art. Every artist is protective.
Yeah.
When you cut something for your MMA, you don't want someone saying, "Hey, that's shit," whatever.
Yeah.
So now take that element of art and it's about your God. Now, whether you believe in the holy faith or what, it doesn't matter what your religion is, whether you're Islam or whatever, or Christian or whatever that focal point is revered on every level.
Yeah.
I respect people of Islamic faith the way they have reverence to God, because Christians should probably have some of that reverence too. I don't agree with a lot of their teachings, but I do agree that God is ultimate, and that is the reverence. And I think that it goes two ways there.
Yeah.
So anyway, you take it, and then you're starting to point at it. You're going to have and let's face it, many people of faith are two personalities. They're attracted to faith because they need something to heal the inner rage or whatever happens to be. It's a fixer. It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I hike with Moses.
Yeah.
And we have phenomenal well, remember the last time I saw you, we're having this big theological discussion
that's right.
at 1 a.m. when everybody's drinking, in the conversation. We had just watched World Championships on boxing, and the conversation was each person's belief and faith. And it was pretty interesting that was.
Yeah.
I enjoy hiking with Moses because a lot of our conversations are he's very smart.
Yeah,
and he's very intellectual, and
very intellectual, very smart, very quiet and calm, but he likes to talk. He knows a lot about stuff, and he's
and I don't hike with a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's a fact. But I enjoy his fellowship, and we have had phenomenal discussions. But I like what he said. He said, if it's going to make you a better person, who am I to care?
Yeah, it's true.
It's like I might not live the normal life of a Christian, and yet I met a guy who was one of the biggest pot growers in Fontana who was a Christian. He said something very true to me. He said, the Bible isn't for me to tell anyone else what to do. The Bible's for me to live my life, because whether in my faith, I can't say blame anybody for what I do.
That's a problem you find sometimes in people that are deep in faith, and whatever faith that may be, is that they look at others as, oh, you need to be this way because I'm this way, or I think you should be this way, because instead of just looking into themselves and like
and yet
making
you
sure they're
look
right.
at the end. Well,
and that goes for all religions.
We live
really.
in this concept. Well, and we live in this concept or precept right now of unforgiveness.
Yeah, it's true.
And the truth is, all these major faiths, if you don't forgive, you don't move forward.
Yeah.
And I think when we look at the gruesomeness of the Passion of Christ, that movie, I mean, he's like shredded, man. Yeah. And yet all those people he did to him, in the Bible, it says he forgives everybody.
Yeah.
So whether that's truthful or not, the fact of the matter, that's a courage. And it's hard, man. I mean, sometimes I get so mad, it's unbelievable. But I just bite my tongue. Because
it's better in a lot of ways.
It is better. And the truth is, you know what? It's not my job.
Yeah.
That's what my wife always tells me. Paul, you're not in charge there. You're not running the country. Paul, you're not running the whatever, this or that. But the point is, on this whole week, I believe in what's going on, and I love that I have a chance to just make people laugh at work. And I think we go back to the final thing, but I think that's the final concept of all these movies, is that we want to just help others with their lives.
Yeah.
And that is where we have a great community.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you what, and like I said, remember in kindergarten, when you point the finger, there's 3 pointing back at you.
Yeah.
And everybody has this thing in them called humanity.
Yeah.
You understand? When you get it, you're fucked for your whole life. I remember, I shouldn't say that word on Easter week. Oh my God. Delete that. But anyway, but it's true.
But nowadays, especially on the internet, and there's a lot of finger pointing and no humanity.
Yeah, well, you know what?
That's what we're missing.
And you know what? Because you know what's so crazy? I walk through my life and I don't ever meet these assholes I see on TV.
I know. That's why I tell people sometimes.
I mean, I don't know where these people are, because and if they're there, world. It's one, not even 1%, because everybody I meet just wants to have a good time. And I enjoy that part of I think that's the greatest thing. If you love people and to be in the hospitality business, you really have an opportunity to bless people. And that's the bottom line of Easter week. That and a lot of chocolate.
There you go.
Of course,
Chocolate,
Jesus
a lot
rising,
of
number one.
chocolate. Yeah, Jesus rising from the dead, and then
Yes.
the
And then chocolate.
and then the chocolate bunnies bouncing around. Yeah, that's what they.
I made two
That's what
massive
Target
boxes.
says.
I sent two massive boxes out. I sent one to my sister, who my daughter stayed with for a couple months, and then I sent one to my mom. My mom loves Reese's.
Oh, I love them too. They're great.
Oh, I think there's probably one of the more highly rated candies.
Candies.
So
chocolate peanut butter, you can't go wrong.
Oh, I love it. So I went ahead and I made Reese's peanut butter chocolate chip cookies, Reese's king size, Reese's eggs. I mean, chocolate filled with it's a peanut butter Christmas. I sent so many calories to Michigan. It was incredible. But as a kid, we always got tons of candy. You know what? I really struggle. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I just eat my bags. I can't help myself.
Me neither.
I mean, sometimes I eat my bags of chips. Now, the chips in my cookies are all Italian and French chocolate, so they're a top end. So sometimes I'll just be going, it's bad. I shouldn't be doing that for my health.
Yeah.
I have to go get
I tell my wife, because her brothers like to get snacks and stuff like that for the house. And I'm like, why are you guys buying this? I can't. She's like, I have no I tell her, I have no self-control. You can't have a bag of candy here, or like,
well, they have I think they have a 12-step program for candy.
I need one. Yeah,
it's called Nestle House. I stole that joke. That is not my joke. I don't know where where that goes back. Saturday Night Live did a film, a black and white film about a coffee addict showing up at the diner. So it had that probably 40s, 50s feel.
Okay.
All the men had hats. Yeah. He ends up becoming a coffee junkie and ends up drying out at Maxwell House. But it was shot. I'm going to have to look that up because that was really a cool movie. But truth is, I did not watch any of these biblical movies this week. And really, I didn't watch tons of movies. I did watch Eddie Murphy's Delirious.
Okay.
Which I don't know how he's still working in Hollywood.
I know, right?
Or I know his name, and I don't know why we have Coming to America 2 after that.
Exactly.
And, so I needed to have some comfort for Easter week, so I fell back in the Narcos. Always feel good down there. You can't, and not when I'm hanging with Acosta.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with Acosta, Mimi, and who's the guy all dressed in black?
Oh,
Amato.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, those three people.
I can't wait for that season. That next season.
So, and then I watched a little bit of the Queen's Gambit, and then a little bit of the Dave Chappelle show. Did you know that Neil Brennan invented that show with Dave Chappelle? I read up on this last night.
Okay, no, you know what? I might have heard it at one point, but no, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of going back. But then I read an interview after the third singing where Dave Chappelle said, "F this stuff. I'm not spending 20 hours a day doing this crap." He goes, "I have no life." He goes, "All I care about is doing stand-up. I don't want to do this." And remember, that's when he quit.
Yeah.
And he turned down that big contract too.
And he took off
but that show, man, that show is just, it's just brilliant. You know what? I've been watching a lot of that sketch comedy lately. So remember, like Carol Burnett and Laughing, and I'm gonna have to say, I think that a girl at work, 26 years old, says Saturday Night Live is lame. The writing's bad. So if she goes, it goes on forever. And I'm watching all these great sketch things. It's 1, 2, 3, bam, 1, 2, 3, bam. And you're just laughing your brain out. I don't need character development. Just make me laugh.
Yeah.
And it seems like the extension of Saturday Night Live, the skits have dried out, or are we just tired of it?
It's also a different era, because like I'm sure that what was her age? What's her age? Do you know? Like
26.
26. Okay. See, like when I was watching Saturday Night Live as in the like late 90s to the 2000s, early 2010ish, the cast was amazing. It was, I mean, you had Tracy Morgan, you had Will Ferrell, you had a ton of other people like Maya Rudolph, and you have a bunch of like you had the cowbell skit,
Iconic
iconic
people.
skits,
Yeah.
iconic people that still are big name stars in Hollywood today. And I don't think you can say that so much about the cast members of the last couple of years.
Well, imagine, okay, so in high school, I came home
Yeah,
and I had peace with my father if I was home for Saturday Night Live. So I watched the first
yeah,
season with him and second season. So look at the people coming through that era. And
yeah,
then look at who I've seen all the way. Then you got Eddie Murphy at 19, and then you got all these other people who went on to do massive movies. And look at
yeah,
the Wayne's World guys, and look at Mike Myers' influence financially on Hollywood with
yeah.
Shrek and Wayne's World.
Yep.
I mean, think of is Lorne Michaels, if you look at all the money that guy has put into Hollywood,
Oh yeah.
probably one of the top producers. It's going to be up there with Lucas or right
Yeah,
under him and
in terms
Spielberg,
in
right?
terms of churning out talent and
And well, the money
yeah.
cultivated by these
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
I mean, Eddie Murphy. I mean, just think about the people.
You
And
probably
he
have to put
went
him
and
at
saw,
near the top of the list. Yeah.
but yeah, I would think so too. And
Yeah.
then with stand up with the Comedy Store. So anyway, that being said,
Because he's very involved. Lauren Michaels is, from what I hear and what the stories I've heard, and Jim Brewer. You know Jim Brewer?
oh yeah,
He was on Rogan. He was
that
on
what was that?
Rogan's.
He did that pop movie. What was it?
Um.
With
How
Dave
high? Is
Chappelle
it
was
How
in it
High?
too. No, but Dave Chappelle was in this marijuana
Yeah,
movie with Dave,
it was him and Chappelle.
right? Yeah.
He was on Rogan's recently, and he talked about his time on SNL and why he left, and how competitive and how sneaky and conniving people were in the writers' room, and how like what it took to even just get a sketch on there, and how people would steal sketches from other people, and how he had some of his sketches stolen, and I think,
Well, you know what? Now that
yeah,
you
that kind
say
of stuff.
that, I heard an interview and I can't remember who it was, but it was someone who was not super happy. But
Yeah.
like Lauren Michaels loves certain people,
Hmm.
and they, Adam Sandler was one of them. He said Adam Sandler would show up with a guitar
Yeah.
story, a guitar song, like hours before the show went on, and they would bump it for him to do his whole thing.
Oh yeah, because they knew it would kill.
He was
Yeah.
just a home run guy. And but
And
you know
say
what, dude?
Jim Brewer said when he quit and he talked to Lorne Michaels, he's like, I think what Jim Brewer left is he stopped liking the person that he was becoming, and that's what a lot of people say. Just he was being just as like, competitive and angry all the time, and so Lorne Michaels told him like, yeah, this isn't the, you know, loved you while you were here, and he told him like this is, but you're too good for this place. Like you're too good of a person for this place. He told him. And he's like, if he told Lauren Michaels told Jim Brewer, he's like, if you got another project, I'll financially back you. And they
And
left
that
on
guy
great
sounds
terms.
like this Jim Brewer guy who I don't really know much about. Then I sounds like a man of integrity a little bit
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah. Um, let's see,
you know.
religion.
And it's always refreshing, but no doubt on that level.
Hmm.
I mean, on that level of Saturday Night Live back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean the competition.
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about the people.
And also with
I mean, and there's
SNL.
been some bad, but even that crew with Dana Garvey
Hmm.
and I mean, they've had some great crew casts.
And SNL's competing
But
in a
there's
different era
I don't even know
nowadays.
anybody. I know the Pete Davidson, but that's it.
Yeah, me
Oh yeah,
neither.
but maybe it's time for it to go.
Maybe, but I think they've been adapting. They have the big name stars still come over, people, but I think the audience now is all segmented on YouTube. That's where their big, you know, viewership is on their
What does
YouTube
that mean?
skits. No, because I'm sure that their
Okay.
their 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 live TV. Oh, I'm sure their live TV tapings are doing pretty well, but I'm sure that it's gone down from what I hear. And but their YouTube videos are just, killing it. So they're still doing what they can, but they're also competing in a different era of youth. And the talent, I would say, as far what I can see, checking in on SNL every now and then, it's not as strong as it was 10 years ago. Even
I
then,
couldn't tell you the last. I mean, I would see certain clips when I keep up on all the news.
yeah.
I keep up on all the Hollywood news, and it's interesting that what was I saying?
Um,
What are we
is
talking
it,
about?
well, maybe we're
Oh
talking about
yeah, so
the
I
talent,
do
generational
see,
talent.
I do see. Okay, I do see segments that are highlighted in the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, or any type of
Yeah,
entertainment news. But I haven't really watched the show. A lot of it is
me
because
neither.
I work nights and I'm not here that night or whatever. Even though it is, and it's weird for Saturday Night Live to be on it during early instead of 11:30 at night, like
Yeah,
in out East Coast. But then I'm also, I'm at my age, and so I'm not their bracket anymore. And so for me, I can't really make any type of critical thing. Um, I just think that there there was some genius in the past, and I
oh, for
think
sure.
the writers are maybe not up to par as they might have been years ago through the
Yeah,
competition or whatever. So
and also
anyway, that being said,
the star power of the cast members. There's some people that they had a lot of people that just had the it factor. You know what I mean? Like all in one room. I don't know if they have as many it factor. They have a lot of great performers, but are any of them big name stars that you could take out of there and put them somewhere and people are going to watch? I don't think there's that many of them on the
well,
cast.
I mean, not when you have people like, John Belushi,
Yeah,
Chris Farrell. I mean,
yeah.
Eddie Murphy. I mean, these are like, I mean, and Mike Myers. So just take those five guys and add up all the money, billions that
Oh
have
yeah,
gone into
for
Hollywood just
sure.
from that. And it's really interesting because, like I said, I wish someone. I know Ben Stiller and other people have tried to get this sketch comedy show going, but man, I wish someone would really just put one together
Yeah,
and just go for it like the
yeah.
old days. And no,
Did you ever watch Mad TV?
I loved Mad TV, man.
Yeah, yeah. They were always
Look at
like
all the stars. Isn't one of your favorite that stand-ups?
Bobby Lee.
Bobby
Yeah,
Lee?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He came
Yeah,
from there.
I remember him on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Truth is, oh, and the lady who's the agent of Miss Maisel comes from that show too.
They had a lot of good talent on there too.
Yeah. And who was the big guy?
Will Sasso. Yeah, he's still hilarious. I see him pop up on different comedy podcasts. He's still
I
hilarious.
remember they would do the films.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one time they did a film,
Uh-huh.
and it was the Terminator, where the
Yeah.
Terminator was going after Jesus. So it was a thing, and I haven't
Uh-huh.
seen it, but it was spectacular.
You know,
And they might be the last show that really put it on the edge
yeah, they pushed it.
in
They
our
pushed
era. I
it.
mean,
And
they pushed the stereotypes. They were pretty good.
yeah,
Excellent choice, sir.
I think SNL was very mainstream, very a little on the safer side, but still really good and genius level. And took a lot of chances. But yeah, Mad TV was very like down and dirty and did a lot of stuff that would have probably make it on SNL or something. Maybe it would have worked
Well,
on
I
there
mean,
and it
no,
worked
but
for it's a different
okay.
audience too, for
Look at
sure.
Saturday Night Live in the 70s.
Yeah,
Different,
yeah,
more politically open,
yeah,
and yet just more of that, just a counterculture. But just some of the I mean, some of the, now that I think back, it would be interested to go back. I think I'm going to go back this week and
hmm,
try to watch the first season of Saturday Night Live again.
yeah,
Just the first one.
yeah,
I'd like to see how it moves in. I mean, it must have been spectacular at the time.
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't done.
You know which
And
one also still
what
holds
year
up?
was that?
Which one?
No, go ahead.
SNL? Oh no,
No,
okay.
hold up.
Is In Living Color.
Well, yeah, I mean
That was
That's
they had
talk
some
about
genius
that
sketches on there.
huge.
Great
Oh,
actors.
yeah. Well, who was on the show? Who was on the show?
Yeah, the
The Wayans,
the
like
Wayans
every one
brothers
of their
and
family
every
is
single family
incredible.
member.
They got like a 20. I mean, they got like what, 50 kids, and they're
Yeah,
all incredible.
yeah. I was gonna say, well, Damon Wayans, but then another Wayans brother, and
Oh
then
no, I love
Jim
the
Carrey.
older brothers. I'm gonna get you, sucker. Did you ever see that
Yeah,
movie?
yeah,
The
yeah,
opening scene, the gang guy's dead,
yeah.
and the cop goes over. He OG'd, and it was because he had too much gold, and he suffocated.
Or Damon Wayans when he was the homeless guy,
It's
uh,
incredible.
or when he was Homie the Clown, and he was like,
He was even, oh yeah, Homie the Clown. He was even, I mean, he was in the Seagal movie.
yeah, which one was that?
I don't
I
know,
don't
but
remember.
he was
Yeah,
on the show. He's a massive part of this Comedy Store documentary, by the way.
Damon Wayans.
Oh,
Oh, I think he's great.
yeah, big
I
time.
even watched his sitcom, his family sitcom that he had. He's just great, man. I've always been a fan of Damon Wayans.
Well, like you said, in that older sister too is incredibly
Yeah,
talented. And I
yeah,
don't know her first name, but anyway. So that show was like when they put the show together, what he said in the interview in Comedy Store doc says we just wanted the opposite of Saturday Night Live. So they had all white people in Garrett Morris, and they wanted everybody in Jim. What is his name?
Jim
Oh
Carrey.
my gosh, again, Jim Carrey. So that
Yeah,
what they did.
he was
The
like the only
opposite.
white guy on the show. Yeah,
Hey, some of his.
Fire
Remember the
Marshal
guy
Bill.
that,
Yeah, Fire Marshal
yeah.
Bill. Or
And
the fitness
yeah.
instructor. Like, I
Hey,
don't know. Yeah,
you okay, I keep going back for this recommendation, and the truth is this this is all in there. Jim Carrey's massively in there. They show his beginning skits.
yeah,
This thing for you of stand-up comedy love,
yeah,
I would make this your watch because
yeah.
you're gonna laugh your brains out.
I'm gonna get Showtime
And
probably
when you
today. I'll
and
probably sign up today.
they so you have it's interesting because like how I always talk about the movie Valley Uprising, this
Yeah,
documentary about the climbing of Yosemite. It's very well, it's in segments,
mm,
like chapters.
yeah.
Well, the Comedy Store has the same thing. You
Okay,
had
nice.
you had the Leno, and you had the Letterman, and then you had the strike, and then it was safe, and then you had Kinnison come in. But between Kinnison, you had Robin Williams and
Yeah.
Richard Pryor. And if you look at that's the same thing.
Do you know they're doing a
So
biopic of Pam Grier? Is it Pam Grier? And they're have I think Jay
the
Farrell.
actress from all the Black Toyshin movies of the
Uh-huh.
70s.
Uh-huh.
And she was in Above the Law with
And
Seagal,
and
first
also
movie.
our favorite
Oh yeah.
Tarantino movie, Jackie Brown. They're doing a
My
biopic.
favorite Tarantino movie.
They're doing a biopic of her younger self and her real life relationships with like Richard Pryor and all these other. So they're gonna have depictions of Richard Pryor. I think one of the SNL guys is gonna be Richard Pryor. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I don't know who's gonna play her though.
The Yeah, that'll be interesting how they pull
Yeah,
that off.
yeah, I know.
That's going to be a hard one because
That's
of
a
the
tough one
notoriety.
of all the names
Um,
involved. Yeah,
I also heard that there's going to be a movie done about the making of The Godfather.
mm,
And the original story, Robert Evans was the producer at Paramount, and
yeah,
him and Coppola were not working well together.
yeah.
And Jake Gyllenhaal will play the Robert Evans. There's a great documentary about this Robert Evans too, about Hollywood, that I would highly recommend. It's called The Kid Stays in the Picture. I mean,
I've
this
seen it.
guy's
I've seen it.
rise at a young age.
I liked it. I really
You know
liked
what I'm
that one.
talking about? It's just
Yeah,
incredible
I watched it. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
how they wanted to get him fired in Mexico, and the
Yeah.
famous director Daryl Zanuck kids watched the scenes that the kid stays in the picture
Yeah.
and he goes up. I mean,
That was
and
when he was
this
young, right?
guy,
He was young and he ended up like
oh,
hustling his way
30s.
into hustling his way into the business. Yeah.
He did Love Story.
Yeah.
And I believe either Steve McQueen stole Ally McGraw from him, or he stole Ally McGraw from Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
it's just
you watch his story and the time period he grew up and how he did it and this and that, and he talked about it, and it's like, man, like this how it all kind of, you know, went well for him in a lot of ways, and he it didn't, and then he was able to transition to something else, and it just like, yeah, it was a great documentary.
well, when you're talking about The Godfather,
Yeah.
so and having read and different things and been a fan for years, you know, the fighting, we don't want him, we don't want Brand. I mean, Brando's like in his 40s and he looks like these. I mean, just the whole story, and they put it together.
Yeah.
And I gave like one of the guards, I gave this set of Godfather DVDs, and one of them had the making of it. And it was
Okay.
interesting is that even on set, Coppola was directing from the book from Mario Puzo along with the script at the same time, and he had both books when they were shooting it. And
I still
well, you know,
have
I can go on about the God.
I still have my Godfather DVDs here. I wonder if they're the same ones. I don't know.
But this was a four. This was a four
Set type of thing.
four set, and it
Oh,
had
okay, maybe not then.
1, 2, and 3, obviously, and then the fourth one was the one put out by Francis Ford Coppola. But anyway, that being said, Francis Ford Coppola, when he saw the story and what's going on, he was behind it. So if he's going to be kind of involved in it, it could be interesting, because anything about The Godfather, it's going to be a hit. People are going to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, even on streaming, because
are you planning?
It's the most watched movie in the world.
The director's cut of the part 3? Are you planning on giving that a shot at any time?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, because I heard they cut his daughter out.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. Oh. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just saying, but that was one of the critiques.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, she's playing up against some of the great actors, and I don't care if you're not schooled, you're not hanging. But it is interesting that Robert Duvall turned down the role for the 3 from the script.
Yeah.
And I think Robert Duvall, I think some of his scenes in the Godfather films, I mean, I love when he doesn't understand that he's being put out.
Yeah.
You know, and then the Godfather.
He's got a very natural way about him, and a very approachable kind of vibe he gives. Like you can, I don't know, you can relate to him. I mean, you look at that's weird.
Did you ever see The Great Santini?
Mm-mm.
Watch it with him.
Watch it, yeah.
He plays a pretty hardcore father who even like bounces the ball off his kid's head for not making the shot right. I mean, it's wrong, and then it's an interesting movie. But Robert Duvall, you know, he comes from Broadway, from theater. You know, there's rumored stories that him and James Caan and Hoffman and Gene Hackman were in apartments working scenes for hours a day.
Yeah.
And just really, I mean, and they all come from this. And look they're all some of the great actors.
Yeah. And it's still working today, most of them.
They all, and how James Caan read for all the parts.
Yeah.
And they didn't want Pacino, and they almost cut Pacino even after filming a lot of it's amazing. And the greatest things of life is so much chance.
Yeah.
It's just like Anthony Hopkins said when he won the Oscar for playing Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. He says, you know, you could take the greatest script, the greatest actors, the greatest every part of the elements
throw all the money you can at it,
and you put it, and you're rolling the dice like you're at Vegas. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. And so when it does happen, it's just luck. So you wonder if films that have a message or are pointing a finger, if it takes away from the magic, because you're pushing away from the magic of natural human, which this Easter week is all about humanity. Anyway, how it goes. So it is fascinating. And I got to tell you, the reason I did not watch a lot this week, I've been very busy, but I went back, other than, truth is, everything I watched, I've seen a few times. And it was because of the last couple of weeks, I've been a little disappointed in what I've turned on. And sometimes on a bad week, you need that comfort food or comfort films.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And
That's why
it puts
I
you in
went to
your emotional state that you want
I
to
went
be
to a
in.
lot of my things I've watched before. A couple of new things, but a lot of the go-tos. So
What? Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What is your number one? Okay, so for me it changes, but we'll end with this. What is your number one go-to thing? Do you have something that you'll turn on if you're doing your schoolwork or it's in the background or what are the things that play in your head?
It, it changes.
Well, it changes obviously emotionally where we're at and as we
Yeah,
get older at different
I
times,
think,
but
well, I think lately I've put on a lot of three movies, probably Jackie Brown, Snatch, and Social Network. And oh, maybe Zodiac too. I like watching Zodiac. But Social Network, Jackie Brown, and Snatch are like, if I just want to watch something that I know I'm gonna enjoy, and I don't know what else to watch, I'm watching those three.
well, I'm going to say Social Network for me.
Yeah,
That opening sequence,
yeah,
I'm going to put in the top 5 opening sequence of any film that I love.
yeah.
There's
Same.
something it's the music or you know what it is? I like certain movies I call info movies,
Yeah.
like Rounders with
Edward Norton.
Damon and Norton.
Yeah,
I'm learning about this game. I don't know anything
yeah,
about this
yeah,
gambling thing. Well, when I go through that opening sequence of Harvard,
yeah,
I'm just enamored with the location, with what's going on, and just the community. I mean,
yep.
I love it. So I got to be honest with you. That's probably in my top 5 go-tos, and I think the dialogue in the where they're given the testimony.
Yeah,
I just think that some of that communication between the lawyers and Eisenberg
yeah.
are incredible. It's probably who he's not acting, he's probably who he is. But I agree. I put that on.
Put it in a
That's been
lot.
in my top
Yeah,
5 when I have access to it, or like when it's in my streaming things.
yeah.
But
Um,
I switch all the time. But I mean, I got to tell you, Narcos is someone else. My wife says, "How can you relax with Narcos?
oh
They're
yeah,
killing
yeah, yeah,
everybody."
yeah. As far as shows, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Narcos. Yeah,
Don't it? There's something great about it, isn't
it's
it?
great. Yeah, and it's yeah. I get started from any season, and I just enjoy it, and I
My
don't really care.
my friend, who you'll meet when you come down to Venice, because I'm gonna
Yeah,
have him come hang out with us. So we have he goes, "What's with you guys in Narcos?" He goes, "It's we go through these phases. It's Narcos, it's the Queen's
yeah,
Gambit.
yeah,
We
yeah.
move,
But it
but
always
what
goes
you
back to
just said
Narcos.
was, but it's interesting you said that because you said it. It's how you're right because at one time in my life I would be putting on rewatching Terminator or and
Yeah,
not that that's not big, but now and the older I've gotten, I'm into this other phase and I get very addicted to things as
yeah,
my nature is. So like that Queen's Gambit, I'm working at like every aspect. I'm seeing
yeah.
new things because lots of times I watch when I'm doing other things. So I'm not necessarily always present
Hmm.
visually, more listening but I wear it out. Now, my wife said that Netflix, there's a making of the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. There's like, yeah, I don't know.
No, and I said I didn't want to watch it because when something like I don't even know if I really want to watch too much about the making of The Godfather. I love that it is
Yeah.
just separated
Hmm.
and the magic is for me. But then on other ways, it's always very interesting how it works. So,
Yeah.
but that social network, I think, and Aaron Sorkin, that's why the dialogue is so great.
Yeah.
And it's just well done.
It's well done. Well done in a lot of ways. And it's like it's just a very calming movie and it's just entertaining no matter how many times I watch it. And it's just like one of those things. If I don't have anything I'll put on social network and I can just chill out and just relax. I don't know, it's weird. So
In
what's
in
another?
some areas, it is a little
It's a little, yeah,
what
it's a little tense and it's a
go
little
ahead,
like, it gets you a little riled up, but
heavy-handed at times. But
yeah, exactly.
I
Um,
love Andrew Garfield. But truth is, and I love Andrew Garfield in it.
I do too. Yeah, he's great.
Oh, it's incredible. He should have
What
got a nomination for that role.
and any other recommendations of the week for you?
No, I mean, really, my recommendation of the week is an old comfort food. It's About Time.
Okay.
And I go on and on about it, but there's a lesson in this film
Yeah.
that about living your life first instead of having to go back and live it right.
Yeah.
Invest in people. And I just think, and that guy, that Domhnall Gleeson,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at him in that, you go to American Made, and then you go to The Revenant. It's like, I don't even know who this guy is. And his dad, I love his dad. His dad's been a staple of great roles and character roles for years.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser, he's just badass.
Yeah.
And I love him. He's just tough as nails. So that's my recommendation. It's old. The music is phenomenal. And the guy who directed it, Richard Curtis, he did Love Actually and Bridget Jones' Diary. So he's got some great body of work. And my wife loves Love Actually. One of her favorite movies.
That's a good movie. I remember seeing it.
Hugh Grant's in it. You know what? Liam Neeson plays a widower right after his wife was killed in that movie that was filmed.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of an interesting connection.
Wow.
And then from that point on, he became the killer and has killed 2 million people. he's I mean, he's really pissed off, so he took everybody out. So anyway, that's pretty true in his career, isn't it?
It is, and he's been doing it ever since.
Liam Neeson is in The Mission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a young priest.
There you go, right back.
Yeah. So, sometimes my brain starts connecting things after a while. When you work at nights and you wake up, I don't wake up till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's better for us to do this later than at 2 o'clock when I just get up and I'm in a fog.
That's true.
I mean, I'm always in a fog. I just have had more caffeine by now to split it open to get a little bit of sun every once in a while.
Before we go, let me. I'll list off a couple of things. I don't even know if I talked about any Bible movies. 10 Commandments for me was always a big thing. I've seen that probably a million times. One thing
I bet you haven't seen it a million times. I'll take that.
No, maybe like 5. Because it was
500,000. Okay,
especially during Easter, it's always on. You know what I mean? So
it was always on Sunday night on Easter night on national TV or whatever.
And it's a good movie. Prince of Egypt, the animated movie. Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah. That's in everyone's top 5. The truth is
that was really well done as far as animated.
I like it, but I'm not for animated. I've never been.
Yeah, it's
not my pull.
Kid geared, but it's a really a well told.
I want to go back to Edward G. I want to go back to 10 Commandments.
Okay.
So in the 10 Commandments, one of the bad guys is Edward G. Robinson. Remember, he's the guy. He's the Jewish guy, but he's working with the Egyptians, and So what's interesting though, his last movie was with Charlton Heston in Soylent Green. That was his last role. But it's interesting. Imagine that relationship from the 50s to the 70s.
Yeah.
And how people matured, and there's a respect that they really want to be together again. It's just not about money. A community there. And I really thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen Soylent Green, it's your 70s crazy movie. But it does have a couple concepts that are very interesting. So I highly recommend it. I mean, sometimes you got to go back and see some old stuff, but I really liked it.
Make sure you add that in the recommendations on the post. Soylent Green. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Oh, it was it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlton Heston was the man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he ruled Hollywood from the 50s to the 70s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at it. He was in Earthquake. I mean, he was in all the biggest movies and biblical. I mean, he goes all the way back, 10 Commandments.
He goes all the way back to the Moses days. Passion of the Christ is also a top
I mean, he looks good. I mean, I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because I haven't seen it since it came out.
Because it's memorable, and I remember seeing it. I remember going to see it. I remember going with my dad to see it. So I had to put that up there too.
So anyway, I got lost in that point. But so I understand. I don't respect the comments that Mel Gibson said
Oh yeah,
about his community at all.
Yeah, you can't
But
back
I
him. No, at all.
understand how he was pissed off because everybody in the whole town, and you're talking about a town, he put a lot of freaking money in this town.
Oh yeah.
I mean, with lethal weapons, the Braveheart. I mean, he just did this,
Yeah.
and because of something that might not go along with faith or whatever, he was a little crucified, and I felt like he didn't deal with it properly.
Yeah. No, he didn't.
Because
He kind of was, hid and stayed away from Hollywood, and he's obviously making somewhat of a minor comeback in a lot of ways over the past few years, and doing a lot more projects than he had before.
well, I heard that they're going to do the Passion of Christ too.
Are they really? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good. Obviously, will come with the resurrection, and then the spreading of with the disciples and different things. And it was really interesting because, like, going back to the robe, the disciples are hiding. But can you imagine? You follow this guy, everybody knows who your name is. You're hanging out, you're handing out the fish, the wine, the whole deal, and then they kill Jesus.
Yeah.
And like you got guys that are after you. I mean.
Yep.
You don't think these guys were? I mean, that took some incredible faith to step out of your basement.
Yeah.
After that, it's kind of interesting.
It is true.
I didn't think about that, but it is. But I think the movie, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Deschanel shot Passion of Christ.
Okay.
The father of the girl. Yeah, the father of the two sisters on TV.
Okay.
And what they did is they went to Rome or the Vatican, I think both, and took the most famous, iconic paintings of Christ through the Passion, which the Passion being from Thursday night through the crucifixion and death of Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
And what they did is they lined up. So in some of these scenes where you're seeing the cross and different things, it's an actual remake of a famous Renaissance painting or spiritual painting that's historically correct. So
yeah,
the truth is when you shoot the film, and they shot it over, and where did they shoot this film?
They didn't shoot it on location over there, or was it not? No.
You know what? I would be, I probably knew it one time, but I don't want to speak ignorantly. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
But the truth, I got to be honest with you, that would be a place that I would totally want to go. Would be Israel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's everything, and I find it to be, as a person of faith, it's one thing to say, yeah, God's here, God's there, God's everywhere, but you will walk, whether you believe in Jesus or not. He existed, and he walked on these rocks, and so the presence of that would be killer.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you have any plans for Easter this week?
We might have something small here at the house, nothing big. Just
you're not crucifying people in the backyard or anything, right?
No.
Because if you are, hey, I got a 28 ounce, I got a new hammer, and I'm a hell of a swing.
Yeah, no, no crucifying.
After this podcast, I'll be at church on my knees for the next 48 hours, repenting from what I've said. But
yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna just keep it simple, nothing big. Yeah, nothing crazy. But all right, man. A couple of recommendations for the week that I saw. I saw the new Godzilla versus King Kong. Told you about that. Wasn't bad. Did you ever watch Kong Island?
No.
Entertaining movie. I think it's underrated. Obviously, these aren't Oscar-nominated movies, but a good movie, fun movie, good action, good creatures, and all this other stuff. And good story.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
So at work, I work with the 26-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Funny. So made fun of, has made some of the best jokes ever at my expense that I've ever loved. She said, hey, did you see that show Bad Trip on Netflix? And then I must have had a look on my face, and she said, I apologize. I should have never even mentioned that in your presence, sir.
Yeah.
I must have had this look on my, anyway, that being said.
Yeah.
Hey, what's so funny? I work with this guy. Last note here. His name is Roy. I'm going to say his name because that's how much I dig him. He's this black engineer guy, and he's really kind of quiet. But I believe he wanted to be either an actor or a stand-up comedian because he does everybody's voice. Last night, he was doing Star Wars for me. Everybody, and making jokes he was making jokes between James Earl Jones, the head general guy from the first movie.
Yeah.
Remember the choke? He gets choked
Yeah.
out guy. And then Obi Kenobi, and he's making these jokes. And I was having a hard time when I went to work, and I saw this guy for a few minutes, and I bullshit back and forth. And this guy is so talented. He was doing Jimmy Stewart the other day. Because I was telling him I was watching the Dean Martin roast, and Don Rickles just rips on. I mean, Jimmy Stewart is iconic.
Yeah.
And he's just ripping on him like, hey, can you nudge him to see if Jimmy's still alive? But this guy does it. And he's such a bright light. Because I love him. I just love to laugh. And his voices are, and I'm like, what the hell are you? I'm in my mind, I'm like, what are you doing in the basement of this hotel?
How old is he?
You're so talented. Oh, he's my age.
Okay.
I don't really know. I mean, the truth is, with African American people, I don't know if they're 30 or 90.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't tell. I mean, my pastor from Chicago.
You know, when things open up,
maybe
when things open up, maybe you should invite him out to an open mic or something like that. Hey, did you ever consider it?
Well, it's really interesting. I don't know much about he's a very quiet guy, and he works by himself, so I don't really know, but his ability to just mimic the people. And he goes, do I do it? He goes, do you do any accents? I said, no. I can catch it for 30 seconds, a minute, but then it's gone. I can't, I don't have that. And so because he's older, his joke references work.
Yeah.
My joke references still work with you. But once I get past you, like to Carlos Carlos is in his 30s, but back to like the girl at the counter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They don't always land.
A
lot of
No, they don't, because they don't know.
They don't know.
President Ford was. Hey, did you saw that Biden fell, right?
Yeah.
On the stairs. So my wife's was like, oh, they're making fun of him. That's horrible. I said, Cynthia, Chevy Chase made his career. We know of Chevy Chase from him falling after Ford. He made a career the first season of. I mean, that guy fell so many times that first season. He became a major movie star of falling. Hey, I voted for Biden, but is he going to make it 4 years?
He said, I think he just said that he was planning on running again. Yeah,
then we're going to have to cut him open, see if there's something really in there, not a machine.
He's staying positive. That's what he's staying positive. All right, man.
Hey, I'm the most positive person. Hey, dude, it is always good. Have a good day, dude. And to everybody out there, have a good laugh, and really check out some of those Bible movies we said, and Soylent Green.
Definitely.
It's ridiculous that it is. That'd make a great graphic novel, that movie. The truth is.
Yeah.
Because when you see the visuals, they're eating people, right?
Yeah.
They're breaking up protests and eating the people, which we might need that in Oregon. We might need that in Portland because, hey, everyone's fed. We got no problems on the street.
Yeah.
There might be something there.
Yeah. All right, man.
I didn't say that.
Good talking to you. Thank you guys all for watching, listening, and we'll catch you guys all next week.